Okay, I'm just setting up the live stream. I won't be long. Okay, I think that's done. Let's go and check the volume levels within the simulator. Or actually, I'll just close a few settings down first. So you can hopefully hear me and you can hear the background in the sim. I need to make sure that comes through my speakers as well. You'd think I'd be good at getting things ready by now, wouldn't you? But no. Okay, so before we start the live stream, I'm going to take the liberty of turning off local air traffic because we don't want to accidentally, or anybody to ruin the video for everybody else that's watching that's interested in the airport and not in them dive bombing us during the flight. Okay, so this is Juneau in, let's go and have a look at the map so I get this right. It's in Alaska. So it's just over the border into Alaska. So I've penciled in a flight there. So let's zoom out and show you where this is. So we've got Canada, we've got the United States, or the main part of the United States, and then you've got Alaska up here. And Juneau is just on the edge of the waterway here. So Juneau International Airport. If we open a Navigraph as well, we'll go and show it how it renders it with the charts. So we'll do unload the flight, do a new flight from where we are. So if we zoom in on the sectionals, so obviously that gives us a half a decent view of it. If we go then and show a VFR map, they've actually got, oh, here we go. Navigraph is of course going to do an update. So we'll go and have a look through the around in the simulator while we're waiting for Navigraph to update. And here it comes again. And of course it's forgotten where we are because it's, you know, a super brainiac piece of software. It says, you know, let me go away and forget everything you've just done, and we'll come back and make you do it all again. So there we go. So if we were to show the charts for Juneau, so PAJN, add that to our route, and that should give us the official chart, or the Jefferson version of it anyway. It isn't super detailed really, is it? But I guess that's just the airfield layout though. We want to see the rest of them. So what other ones does Navigraph give us? We've got a taxi chart, so that's that one. So that just gives you the letters for the taxiway. And what else do we get? Nothing really. Oh, that's a bit disappointing, isn't it? We want to see the standard instrument departure charts though, so that one's doubling back. That, I'm surprised none of them carry on up the valley. Apparently they don't. You'll see what I mean in a moment. So I was penciling in going VFR. I'm going to fly the DC-6 of taking off and flying out down the valley, which we're going to do because it's very picturesque. So we're going to fly off down there. Going to take off, go down here, and fly down the valley. So let's go and have a look around at the airfield. So this is Juneau. From Inibuilds are selling it. They didn't develop it. So I'll go and have a look around it in a moment. There's advertisements for the developer within the scenery. It's rather clever, actually. Some of the wallpapers in the scenery. So we've got the sound of water lapping. That's really cool. So there's a jetty along here, as you can see, for float planes alongside the runway at Juneau. There's a lot of aeroplanes down here, actually. So if we zoom back into the air, we'll go around the perimeter of the airfield having a look, being nosy, and then we'll come back past all the buildings and have a good route around and see what they've developed, see what they've included in the scenery. See, this is why we do this. Because what have they installed? So I've installed, by the way, the global trees HD. I've told it to change the grass and the trees. So we're going with grass C or 3, I think. Let's go and have a quick look. We're running grass type 3 and the fall spring northern hemisphere trees. Obviously, if we go and change the weather to live, we're going to get snow everywhere, which would obscure everything. So I thought it would just be nice to have a look around. So is there any scenery beyond the tree line? Not really. Okay, so it just goes out as far as the perimeter of the airfield. Should we just straighten the view up? There we go. So let's go and make our way along the airfield, having a look around some of these outbuildings. They've done a really detailed job, haven't they? Even with some of these minor buildings that you normally wouldn't see much about. So there's construction area over here with some pipes and sand and whatever else. There's a cherry picker there. How much detail could they really want to go into with these things? It's crazy, isn't it? It's probably from a library of objects, to be honest, but it's still nice to see. So this is the I'm just responding to PC24. This is the PAJN payware. It's just Inibuilds have got it for a really good price, so I am featuring it. So Chinook. Alaska Army National Guard. So were they there a moment ago? Or is there a... Am I being completely blind? Yeah, they were there a moment ago. Maybe their camouflage is so good I didn't notice them. So a number of Black Hawks there in army livery. All sorts of parking and trucks and... Oh, hello. There's some sort of pop-up happening here then. What is going on? Let's go further away. That hangar appeared out of nowhere, didn't it? Now, is that a problem with my simulator or is that a problem with the scenery? Let's see if we see any other pop-ups happen. I have a suspicion it may be my simulator causing it. Although I don't normally see pop-up happen. So we got the emergency vehicles. And a line of hangars along the flight line here. Or along the taxiway, I should say. And more hangars over here. Slowly working our way towards the passenger terminal. So it has animated figures. Interesting. Seems to be a real trend at the moment, doesn't it, to put animated figures in the scenery. Okay, so you can see there's our DC-6 that will be starting up in a moment. And here's the public entrance, I guess, to the airport. So, got bus station and some figures. Let's go and see what sort of quality they've done the figures. They seem to be very good, because figures do tend to vary a lot in the simulator, but these seem to be very high resolution. So we'll just go and have a scout around the building before we go inside. It seems to be both the upper and the lower floor has been modelled, so we'll see all of that in a moment. Just scout around the outside first, maybe have a pop up to the control tower, see what's inside there. So we've got the jetways. It's very good, isn't it? So if we go and fly over to the control tower, that's remarkably good, considering you would never normally bother doing this. So we're pushing it, to say the least. So we've got Jefferson chart there. There's the sector airways. Very cool. ATC radar. Okay, let's go back round to the public entrance then. So I'm guessing we would come in down here. And we'll have a look around at human eye level around the building. It's very nicely done, isn't it? So we've got the baggage carousel here. All sorts of adverts. Visit Alaska painting on the wall. Very cool. So we've got check-in for Delta Airlines. Very cool. The figures are very high quality, aren't they? I'm surprised just how good they are. I'm just looking at the features. They're a lot higher resolution than I've seen recently. And I know a lot of people will say, what is the point of any of this being modelled? But I'm just showing it because it's here. So the developers have gone to these lengths to build this kind of reality within the sim. So I'm showing it. There's another Alaska Seaplanes advert. So this is interesting. Look, somebody tipped me off about this and asked me, could I feature the Juneau airport because of these murals and artwork, and it is all modelled. That is very, very good, isn't it? So if we come down through, I think we're going to find all manner of features through the airport if we just have a look around slowly. Yeah, and just looking at the live stream chat there, it's remarkably smooth. But then remember, I've turned off the aircraft in the airport, so we're not getting suddenly, you know, high definition aeroplanes appearing out of the window. But it is very, very good, isn't it? I'm impressed with this, as you can probably tell. So let's just go and have a look through this seating area. Look at the polished wooden floors. They're amazing, aren't they? High gloss floors. You wouldn't want to walk across that with the wrong shoes on, would you? I have no idea where I am in the building, by the way. Just following my nose at the moment. It's remarkable though, isn't it? It really is. Aha! Now, I saw these in the promotional pictures of the airport. So there are these art installation mobiles hanging from the ceiling. They're good, aren't they? Did I completely miss them when we walked in? That's a crafty 3D trick, look. They've painted the innards of the offices so they look correct from eye level down here. So that's how they've got the smoothness. There's all sorts of tricks going on. Okay, so I think we've done a lap of the airport. So if we were to come through this shutter, what's in here? Is it just an empty room? It is, isn't it? It's very cool though, isn't it? It's very high. I'm surprised at how high a resolution it all is as well. There's another piece of that native artwork as well. Okay, let's fly back out through the window then. Out over the parking lot. So we didn't carry on further down this way yet, did we? So let's go and speed up the drone camera and have a look at some of these other pieces of the scenery. So I'm guessing some of these buildings are part of the airport scenery. Things like, you know, the radar dishes, I guess. And some of these outbuildings are obviously custom objects. They're not stock at all. LAB flying service. Alaska Airlines, logistics buildings, FedEx trucks everywhere. More hangars. Lots and lots of hangars. There's, someone's left their floats behind here, look. Tank farm. And a VOR down in the corner of... Oh, no, it isn't. Sorry, it's a windsock. I thought it was going to be a VOR then. It's just a windsock. It's hardly a breath of wind today. And then, obviously, there's the snow clearing hardware. Okay. And obviously, the scenery around here is absolutely amazing. So if you've not seen this part of the world in the simulator, Alaska and Canada is just all absolutely beautiful. So just to give you some idea, I'm going to put the weather on live. Let's move this camera around to get the airfield in view and the skyline, so you can see what I was talking about earlier. Right, so we've got the airfield there in view. I'm going to go and put us on live weather. And that's why I changed it, because we would have been snowed in. So I put ourselves on the fall and a few clouds on purpose, just so we get to see the features of the airport. Okay, so our DC-6 is down here. Let's come back down to the passenger terminal. And we'll see how we get on with it. So we're back in the cockpit of the DC-6, and I have to try and remember now. I've got, to be honest, I've got the document right in front of me on another screen, so no excuses really. So we come over to the tablet, we can remove the wheel chocks and the pitot covers, ground power unit stays on, get rid of the stairs at the front and back. And we can see that that's all animated. If you've never seen that on the DC-6, you'll see the stairs go there and... Oops, there we go. Watch the door closed. And I think we're good. Right. So, can we remember how to do all of this again? We covered it the other day, but it's gone straight out of my head. Power source goes to ground power. So we're going to turn the volume up while we're doing this, so you get to hear the noises the airplane makes. Battery and ground power goes to on, so that's down here. Then lighting section, beacon light can go straight to on. No smoking can go to on, and the seatbelt sign can go on at this point as well. We're going to put the inverters on or up. There's two inverters, one here and one here. Engine instruments go engine ints to normal or up. So where are they? I can never find half these switches. Let me just check. Engine inst. We're looking for the power switch for the engine instruments. I know it's somewhere near the middle. Can anybody else see it? There it is. Then the master bat and gens go to 1, 2, 3, and 4. Go to on. Then overhead, the pilots, we can go to the cowl flaps and put them all to fully open. And we can set that we're not going to bother with the pressurization of the cabin because we're not going to fly to altitude. We can go and set the radios up. So let's go and turn on the various radios. And that one and that one. Yeah, that wasn't the on-off switch for that one. That was the volume probably. Okay, transponder. So that's down in the left corner down here. So that can go to standby. Then on the pedestal, we're going to move all of the fuel selectors to fully forwards. Then the cabin heater controls. Cabin heat master to on, which is that one. And then we're going to work through starting the engines. So mixtures go to idle cutoff. So they are down here at the moment. propeller RPM control lever to forwards. That's this one. And it is fully forwards. And the throttle levers to 10%. So let's just make sure I have got the throttles working. I do. So 10% on the throttles. So then we're going to work through starting each engine in turn. So let's just crib through this before we do it. So what we're going to do is toggle the start for each engine in turn. So we'll select the engine, start it, wait for the 3, so the pilot or the co-pilot will be counting the rotation of blades outside. We count for 3 for prime, 6 for boost, 12 for magnetos to both. Okay, so to see that, we can see the magnetos are down here. So we go start, 3 prime, 6 boost, 9, 12, go. And we want engine number 3 first. So select her for number 3, and we'll see if we've remembered how to do this correctly. Let me just check the mixtures. We put it at lean at the moment, haven't we? So I'm going to cheat slightly and put all the mixtures on rich, or auto rich, because we won't have time to get down here. This is one of the problems of doing it by hand. So we're going to put them all on rich before we get started. And then go back overhead. So we can do we need the boost pump on as well. So we turn it on for the engine being started. So engine selector, so we put the boost pump on for engine number 3. Then start.
3.
Prime.
6.
Boost.
9. 12.
Okay, that's that one done. So then we need to... Do we need to do the generator for that? I'm presuming... Although we've already done them, haven't we? They're over here. I'm getting mixed up with different aeroplanes. Not following my own instructions. So then it's engine number 4. So 4, we can take the boost pump off for number 3 now. So engine boost pump on for number 4. And start again.
3.
Prime.
6.
Boost.
9. 12.
And both. And we have the engine running. So boost pump can come off for engine number 4. And we're now going to go and start engine number 2. So they didn't reset, did they? So engine number 2, boost pump goes on, then start.
3.
Prime.
6.
Boost.
9. 12.
Okay, so the boost pump can come back off for engine number 2. And then finally engine number 1. Selector comes on. And start.
3. 6. 9. 12.
And we have 4 engines. So there's a whole raft of checks we could do now around running the engines up. But we're not going to save some time because we're just here to mess around and look at Juneau really. So control 6, the plane source now goes to plane battery away from ground power. So plane source goes up. Then we can go over to the tablet and we can remove that ground power unit from the aeroplane now. And then we can release the gust lock. He says, famous last words. I think I must have clicked it twice. We can put the flaps to 20 degrees ready for takeoff in a minute. And we can go and put the landing lights on because we don't have taxi lights, so we can go and extend them Yeah, there's a full engine run-up test we could do at this point. I'm going to presume it's going to work because I haven't got damage switched on. So we're going to taxi out to the runway now. So we'll press Shift P to get the aeroplane pushed back. Have we actually got? We haven't got a truck, have we? It's just we're gonna have an invisible truck. I'm going to turn the volume down now on the aeroplane, so we can actually hear ourselves think. Turn the head tracking on and center it up. So put the wheel brakes back on for a moment. Make sure we've thought of everything. Did we calibrate the altimeter? No, we haven't. I've just done it. So during the taxi, we keep the cowl flaps wide open. So it gives you a bit of a better impression of Juneau, doesn't it, moving around with an aeroplane? Okay, so we need to go. Well, I'll wait till we've lined up on the runway. There's a few last little bits and pieces to do with the DC-6 just to ensure the health of the engines. But we'll get there in a moment. Okay, so we need to go and shut down the cowl flaps to 3 to 4 degrees. I'm going to go for 4 degrees, giving us a little bit more leeway. We then put the position lights to flash, which I'm going to try and remember where all this stuff is. They're up here, aren't they? And then pitot scoops, or pitot and, oh, can I get this to actually to work? Control 6, let's do this again. Pitot and scoop heaters to on up. Where are the pitot and scoop heaters? Have I got the wrong? Yeah, I have. I've got some wrong instructions on my checklist. That's a bit naughty. Okay, so we're going to go full throttle down the runway. Going to use the manifold pressure as our kind of reference point. So looking at these gauges. So let's see how we get on. We should be able to rotate at about 85 knots. So we should be good now to start to rotate and see what happens. And we're in the air. So gear up. So really I'm trying to get a view of Juneau as we depart for you. So, next thing on our mind will be manifold pressure. During the climb we go no higher than 40, so we pull that back a bit then. And RPM we're aiming for 2400. So you can see at the moment our engines are far too fast, so let's pull that back. Let's put the head tracking back on so we can look around and admire the scenery. So the trees are being done, like I said, by the global HD trees. Notice it has kind of a cutoff where it goes to a darker colour when you're further away, so it doesn't work at long range really. It's quite interesting. So all we're going to do is scout around the island here and come back in again. So now we are in the air, we can go to auto lean on the engines. Although I think auto rich should be okay up to 10,000 feet actually. So we're probably okay leaving them on auto rich. I'd need to read the book on it for that. So the following climb out, we can go to 2 degrees on the cowl flaps. No need to keep them wide open. And we can raise that last step of flap. I'd already raised them 1 notch. So if we're going to be cruising, then we can come back to 35 on the manifold pressure. and 21 to 2300 on the RPM. That's about right. And admire the scenery as we scout around the island here. So what we'll do, just for this little example flight, we'll fly around the island. So you can see we're just coming down here, and we'll come back and scoot back into the airfield. So just a visual lap. It's just an excuse really to see approach into Juneau as well. The thing that always impresses me about the DC-6 is how smooth it is. Obviously the developers that worked on it knew a thing or two about optimizing their code for the simulator. So full credit to PMDG. There are other planes with less going on in the cockpit than this that are nowhere near as smooth. And this is doing a lot of systems modeling in terms of, you know, the engine simulation, for example. Okay, so we just come up the other side of the island. On the way, we'll go and tune in the ILS. So we're just going to follow all the way up and then come back in. So if we go and look on the approaches, so I wonder what diagrams they've got. That will do, won't it? So it is an offset ILS here. Oh, not ILS, but localizer. 109.9. So we don't want to get too high. Let's go and level the plane out and trim it out. So 109.9 on the nav radio. And the omni-bearing selector should be 71 degrees. So if we drop down to about 2,500 feet, that should put us in good stead to pick up the localizer and to drop back into the airfield. Probably need to slow down a bit though, hey? Okay, let's have a little look on the map. So you can see we're coming up here. We're turning a little bit early, so we want to be flying out through that gap really. Because the airfield's just over here, look. So let's go and fly across through the gap in the island here. So we're going to go through here and then go and join the beam. There's Juneau behind us. Should look where we're going, really, shouldn't we? We're down to 2,000 feet. That will help us to scrub off some speed, which isn't a bad thing. Let's just climb back up a little bit. Let's just have a look at those trees. So if we do a close pass of this hillside, I want to see if the trees HD substitutes in different trees as we get closer, or if they are always there. No, it seems to be working okay, doesn't it? So let's see where we are. Scraping some speed off. Going to be turning right soon. So if we look on the chart, you can see we're coming in on quite a short turn in, actually. So if we get the gear down ready, first stage of flaps as well, and you can see we've just gone through the localizer. So let's turn that a little bit more tightly. We didn't turn on the distance measuring equipment, did we? So we're showing 5.8 miles out. So in reality, look, because you don't have a glide slope, you would play games with obviously looking at this chart and looking at the distances and the heights you should be at. Obviously, we're not doing that accurately today. Just come back in across to the localizer so you get to see it, to see the intended angle to come in at. So we should be looking for 71 degrees, wasn't it? So this would be the normal approach angle. I'm guessing it's intended, look, to take the low points in the islands. That's the marker. Is there a marker on top of this hill here as well? I'm not sure if that's just the scenery or there's something flashing. I think it's just an optical illusion. So I've gone too far, haven't I? That should be 4. It's very cool, isn't it? So we're pretty much there on the fussy lights. So then we're just looking for the target markers on the runway. A little bit early. I'll take it. Nose wheels down. How quickly can we stop? So yeah, I'm undecided on the HD trees as well. I quite like the default ones. I just thought it was a good opportunity to try it, seeing as the, you know, the area this is in, to see what it might look like with them. Part of the problem with the rendering is it's compressed to go out to the internet, so you lose quite a lot of visual definition on the video feed. It's not as high a resolution as it should be. It's one of the problems of streaming. I will be getting a newer computer later this year, so I'll be able to up the quality of the data going out. So you'll get a smoother frame rate at your end. And a higher visual quality as well. Okay, so we just need to cut the mixtures, don't we? Let me do this away from... There we go. I'm going to turn the head tracking off to do this. It's a lot easier without it. Start off the fuel from the engines. Okay, so obviously we could go through and switch everything off. I'm not going to bother too much because we're not really here to play DC-6s. We're here to have a look at Juneau. So there we go. That was Juneau in Alaska. And it's the version that you can buy from Inibuilds. I'll pull the website up in a moment. So if we just fly out with the drone cam, which is busy trying to roll itself over, as it always does very slowly. So if we go into the website, here we go. I left it open. So Juneau PAJN, and if we have it's interesting. Look, oh, here we go. Yes, Northern Sky is the name of the developer. I was just looking for their name in the text, but that's the actual developer. It's being sold by Inibuilds, so it's £17, about $23, just under. But yeah, it's very, very good. Obviously, they're showcasing that it has all the weather effects as well. So if we go and put it through a light cycle as well, if we come back down closer to the terminal, and we'll try the different times and weathers in combination with each other, just so you can see how well they've done it. So if we go, say, about there, and we'll wind the clock into the late afternoon. So we've got the golden hour with sunset happening. And then you've got the lighting on the main buildings. And obviously, if we go and wind that back, go to winter, or cold weather at least, more common weather for Alaska, you're going to get that kind of evening in the winter look about things. Ah, wrong button. So there we go. So we go and have a look inside and see what the night lighting is like inside the terminal as well. So you can see it's pretty well done, isn't it? So they've got all the lights in the roof. And they can see obviously out to the aeroplanes. So I'm going to leave it there. And we'll fly it back into... Actually, should we leave it at the control tower? So we can see that's even bathed in the light of the monitors, which is quite cool. So they've been used as light sources. So there you go. That was Juneau. Just looking at the live stream comments. Gundog is saying, Jonathan, can I pay you to get me up to speed on the 146? I've got several videos on it in the past. It's not too bad, and I've got some procedures for working through flicking all the switches and everything to keep it nice and straightforward. There is a lot in the 146. The new one's coming out soon, isn't it? The Avro 100. That's going to be really interesting. So it's the modern update to the 146. So late in the 146's life, the Avro 100 came out. And it's got glass screens and, yeah, all sorts of automations. You can still see the heritage of where it came from, but yeah, Just Flight have been working on it for a very long time. Okay, I'm going to leave it there. Hopefully you enjoyed that. So that was Juneau, available from Inibuilds. I'll see you again soon.